Hi you guys, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to my channel. I'm Joanna Joy. I'm a certified health and fitness coach. I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm a certified mindset teacher. I was a former teacher for 12 years and I quit my teaching job to become a health and fitness coach, which I do full time. I also run a fitness business for kids, which has been so delightful and a super fun way for me to keep my education going without being in the classroom. So that's what I do. I currently have 2 jobs and I just kind of share ideas on here and talk about whatever I want. And I share fitness ideas on this channel particularly. So I'm just here to talk about whatever is on my mind. So if you like the energy on this channel, you like my content, stick around, subscribe, and maybe you'll find something that you like. So here's what we're talking about today. We are talking about how TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wouldn't say Facebook as much. They are causing society to lose their ability to nuance. Nuance is such a good skill to have. You need it, especially if you're going to be in a leadership position, especially if you're going to be communicating with adults, learning how to speak with people and have friendships and relationships. Nuance is so important. And I think this is happening for several reasons. So I have my notes here. So if you guys see me looking down, that's what they're at. But this came to me a few weeks ago. I've been thinking about this for a long time. When I was a teacher, I started to think about it with Instagram because the captions were so short that you couldn't really flesh out ideas. And Snapchat, because everything was short and quick, I started to think about, wow, everything has to be said in a short amount of time, and it's impossible to have fully well thought out and arguments and ideas around things in such a format. And so what it's training our brains to do, in my opinion, is to only see things in 250 characters or less, or only see things in 500 words or less. So we're not able to think rationally. For a very long time, we would read books that had long sentences with multiple commas, and they were complex structured sentences. And now everything is simplified to 3rd to 5th grade level. And so I think there's something happening to our society right now. So here's my take on it. Number one, I think because the nature of social media requires attention grabbing, short format text, that we are becoming accustomed to that style of speech. Even if you've ever worked with children, you can hear how like Instagram speak, TikTok speak, Snapchat speak has infiltrated their real life. Everything's short, sweet, like girls are having conversations with whole, like yeah, right, like short phrases. Actually having to communicate their thoughts and ideas is no longer required in just a social setting. Now we have all these short phrases and quips and things like that where I call it TikTok language. So people are not having to really express full thoughts and ideas anymore, because it's, we just assume what they mean by these phrases. And I think what this does is this oversimplifies really complex issues. When you have a 250 character or a 500 word paragraph, it forces you to be really concise, but that doesn't mean that people are going to be thorough. And as an English teacher, one of the things I despised was fluffy language without saying anything. If you're going to use 500 words, they should be very concise, but they need to explain in detail what you're talking about without being redundant. And I think what's happening with these 500 characters or 500 words is people are not fleshing out the nuances of the situation, and you can't. And so I've noticed that people are putting up, I even do this sometimes, I'm like, nuance required. Please think of nuance. Because someone will read a post, immediately get defensive because it doesn't address the nuance of the situation. My favorite meme of this is the one that says, message, I love peaches. What about apples? You hate apples because and it's like, yes, that's the idea, that I can say I like peaches and someone will automatically be offended because I did not produce all of the other caveats. Now, there's inherently a problem with that. Like, it's inherently a problem that you will read a sentence and assume that it's attacking you because it doesn't directly address that issue, that's problematic in and of itself. And I think that's a whole different issue. But I also think that now people they see one thing and they automatically fill in what's missing with either, their own personal thoughts, like, oh, this person must be attacking me, or they fill it in with their own reaffirming beliefs. So it's really a strange phenomenon that's happening right now, where because a lot of our messaging is on TikTok, a lot of our messaging is on Twitter. Twitter is the worst of them all, in my opinion, because you can't really get long form information out of Twitter. It's so short. So what you're getting is like hot takes, quips, oversimplification of really complex and serious ideals. And the second thing that's even worse about this, when it comes to nuance, the algorithms of all of these social media platforms. I have to be very careful. Every once in a while, I go through and I clean mine up. The algorithms of all of these social media platforms reinforce your beliefs. So on TikTok, for example, if I click on a North Sea TikTok, I'm in North Sea TikTok right now. I'm stuck in North Sea TikTok. Once I like something on there, it continues to produce content like that for me. So let's say I'm someone who enjoys bashing other women, or I enjoy bashing this celebrity. I will then be flooded with all this negative content, true or not, about a celebrity. So I am in an echo chamber. Let's say I have a certain political ideology. On the one hand, it's good to hear your beliefs reiterated over to you, maybe in a different way. But on the other hand, you never hear anything that is opposing, or even the intellectual ideas that might oppose your own. So what this creates is you can't even think potentially about the other side of the argument because you're never exposed to it. All you do is overconsume one particular idea. So in that regard, you don't ever have nuance, because nuance requires you to think about all sides of a situation. The other place where I think this is interesting and that I'm really trying to be careful not to do is to look at people as all good or all bad. There is like this tribalism happening with social media where you follow someone, so you just agree with every single thing that they say and do, and they can do no wrong. And there's a lot of this going around. And I think, again, nuance, just even though we're talking about nuance of ideas, nuance of people is being lost as well, because you have these tribes on social media, YouTube, where it's like, if you say one bad thing about this person, you must hate them, because we don't have the idea of nuance, which is, I love this person, I love their personality, I disagree with that thing that they said, but it doesn't mean I hate them. Again, goes back to nuance. We're losing the ability to see people as like individuals with different personalities and different facets of them, and that you can like a person and dislike the things that they do. And it doesn't mean that you hate them. And I think this is really interesting because we see it with politics a lot. Back in the day, you could be friends with someone who is a Republican. You could be friends with someone who is a Democrat if you had a different viewpoint. But now, because people are looking at Twitter and they are in negative Twitter press. So for whatever political side you're in negative Twitter press. You can't see how one idea might actually be beneficial to your life, right? One side of that coin. You're like, everything they say is bad, everything, So you have to be able to nuance. You have to be able to say, okay, this is dumb, but this I can kind of agree with. This is silly, but this I can kind of agree with. And I think we're losing that ability because of this short-term, sort of attention-grabbing content, but then being stuck in an algorithm that promotes the same stuff to you is problematic. One thing I will say about Facebook is that I think because Facebook does allow longer posts, you can actually, flesh out your ideas a bit more, and you can kind of create really well-rounded content there. But the people are not on Facebook, okay? I think the biggest idea that I'm seeing from this is, and this is what I have in my notes, I think that there's a lot of benefit to social media. I really, really do. But I think because we're on it so much, it's now affecting who we are in real life. And the Apple of CEO said this: if I'm looking at my phone more than I'm looking in the eyes of other people, I'm doing it wrong. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Because it's really easy to develop a hard, fast, strong opinion about someone who you've never met, who you never have to talk to, and who you never have to deal with in real life. It's really hard to look at someone who doesn't look like you, who doesn't believe the same way as you do, and say some of the nasty things that we say, and to not have nuance. You gain nuance, you gain new neurons in your brain when you talk to different people. But if you're stuck on your phone, stuck in your world, you never gain that skill. And I think that's what's really scary about this next generation, is being able to tolerate nuance. Not even just have it, but to tolerate it, right? This is why so many people are so upset about one phrase, one word that people use. Of course, there's phrases and words that are highly offensive and should not be used, right? Here I go having to provide nuance because people can't do it themselves. So I have to be like, okay, I'm not talking about that. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful about how we're allowing our brains to be rewired and losing the intellectual skill of nuance. All right, you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.